to a show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. And we are slowly approaching 300, y'all. We're almost there. Like, technically, I recorded 300, but then I messed it up. So we're gonna do 300 again. But we're at 299. We're about to have a good time. So today on the podcast, I would like to welcome a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor, a herbalist.
Yep.
Yes. I love words. And also this really cool person just sitting here chatting beforehand. Really rad individual. I want to welcome to the podcast Miss Katie Beirut-Kloth.
You got it.
Yes,
You did.
I'm the smartest person alive.
That's great.
Well, Katie,
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you sharing your time, and I did kind of a quick turnaround. I think I just reached out last week. Was like, hey, you mind coming on? You're like, yeah, let's do it. And a lot of times folks are like, yeah, let's do it like in like 2-3 weeks. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And like, yeah, like I'm ready when you are. So
I'm proud of my Aquarius energy. I feel like I'm a doer. Like something pops up, I'm like, okay, let's do it. I'm a doer.
That's great energy to have, though, because a lot of us procrastinate. We're like, yeah, we'll do it. But I feel like you just got to jump out there. So here we are. I wanted to, I guess, kind of get to know you, talk to you a little bit about jiu-jitsu specifically, and really find out first and foremost, what started your journey into martial arts? Like, is this your first martial art, or have you done other things?
You know what? I wish this was my first martial art. I grew up like in a small place in northern Wisconsin, and jiu-jitsu was not available to me. As a child, we had like the taekwondo and karate. So I think my first martial art was taekwondo, great kicks. I'm not really sure what we were doing with our hands that whole time. And then no offense to the people that are really into it. I know like Joe Rogan's really good at it or something. And then I tried karate, which seemed like slightly more violent. And then 2019, bless his heart, a man moved from Southern California to North Central Wisconsin and opened a jiu-jitsu gym. And I'm like, I saw people rolling around in there and I'm like, oh, I should go check that out. And are we allowed to swear?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I got my ass handed to me and I was in love. And I think I competed like maybe a month after into training, which was beautiful and terrible. I lost every match, and I'm so glad that I'm a stubborn individual, because it kind of sealed the deal for me, where I'm like, I have to get better at this and I just want to keep going, instead of like making me question all my life choices up to that point. But it was right before the whole 2020 lockdown thing, and some of the gyms, like not boarding up or papering up their doors, but still training behind their closed gym or whatever. But yeah, 2019, a guy moved from California and brought jiu-jitsu to the Northwoods, where we didn't have anything like that. So grateful. And I think my first team was elite team. I am definitely not with elite team anymore. I kind of bounced around here through a couple of different gyms because I lived in different places. I was at American Top Team for a long time. I got my blue belt under Jacau, which I don't speak, I was going to say Brazilian. That's not it. Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese fluently, so I didn't know what that meant. I guess it just means dude. So we were calling him the dude the whole time. Who knew? I got my blue belt through him, and now I got my purple belt from Leandro Vera from Checkmat, unfortunately, now that I see there's allegations coming out from that man. And I started last year. I competed more in 1 year than I have in my entire jiu-jitsu career. And I have found my way to Tabula Rasa, which one of the owners is Morgan Mo Black, who won East Coast trials back-to-back now. And probably the most wonderful, supportive training environment I've ever been in. and like one of the best female black belts I've ever trained under, like not just technique wise, but like as a person. And yes, I care about being good at jiu-jitsu, but I kind of care more about being a good person. So I feel really lucky to have found a gym where it's like people that are good at jiu-jitsu that aren't shitty people. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. But I'm really happy. I'm really happy to find myself there. I feel so lucky to train under Mel Black, who's like one of the best women in competitive jiu-jitsu right now. All around.
That's good. Good. I definitely get what you're saying about, you know, it's good to be good at jiu-jitsu, but it's even better to be a good person. And it's great when you can combine the two, because that's it. You know, when it comes to teaching, when it comes to mentoring humans, you know, you want to be a good person. You don't want to be someone that's a bully. You don't want to be someone that's like, it's my way or the highway. You don't want to be someone that's, you know, a dictator, you know, things like that. So being in those safe environments are always comforting, and just, it's needed, especially in the current climate of current things. It's good to know, you know, when you're seeing a lot of places speak up, and then just hearing this here as well, like, hey, you know, it's good knowing you're at a good spot. So glad to hear that.
I am, yeah, like I said, I feel really grateful to be there, and especially with everything that's going on in the jiu-jitsu community just in the last, it's not just in the last 7 days, like things are coming to light for everyone, for the populace in the last 7 days, but clearly it's an epidemic, it's a problem, not just in jiu-jitsu, but in like our culture. And one young gal, I give her so much credit, that is so hard to do, spoke up, and now all these other people, mostly women, are speaking up. But yeah, I guess I just want to remind people, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here. Like, I feel like it seems like most people are in her corner or sympathetic to her cause, which I am so grateful for. But to the people that are naysaying or like, I want to see the proof or whatever dumb shit they have to say, I just want them to know, like, women and people have nothing to gain from like coming out with that. It's like hard, and it ends up like, whether people like believe you or not, it's just like a painful, vulnerable thing to do in your community, whether your gym backs you or not. And it usually ends up tearing your whole world apart. You have to switch gyms. I think people that are quick to naysay forget that like, it's not just like a big deal to say those things, but those people are usually, their whole world gets turned upside down. So I give them so much credit on so many levels.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, it's, I don't know. It's got to be real scary to, you know, speak up, to, you know, to be heard, and then knowing what the backlash could possibly be as well. Like you said, having to switch gyms, having, you know, there are folks, you know, in her corner, you know, but also, like I said, there are naysayers or people that are ask for proof, or, you know, saying, you know, well, you know, women lie. And it's like, well, people lie, you know, but the thing is too, there's, you know, the whole idea of like, okay, well, this is being said. Can we at least hear what's being said and try to understand what's being said, instead of, you know, immediately trying to make that person feel like the worst person in the world because they were victimized. And now they're being made out to be the, you know, the bad guy. So, you know, kudos to her, and just really stepping up. And well, I want to say in 2021, you know, women were speaking up, you know, on situations then as well. And I saw some comments basically saying what's going on all of a sudden with jiu-jitsu, and it's like, it's not all of a sudden. This has been something that's, you know, it pops up, then it kind of goes away, then it pops back up, and then it goes away, and it pops back up. And it's not just jiu-jitsu. It's martial arts, it's sports. It's like people, you know.
I think it's American culture, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I guess it's a mixture of things, but one thing I'm grateful at our gym, like we had a really open discussion about it at the beginning of like 3 different classes now, is like, I think, like you were saying, it seems like it pops up, then it goes away, pops up, then it goes away. I think one way to like move through this so that things can start to change is like, and I see more and more people saying this, encouraging open communication all the time. And that's easier when you have a gym that has multiple coaches and not just like a guy or a guy and his wife. Like the gym I'm at, we have like at least 6 different coaches. And there's like a path, there's a clear pathway for like, if something happens that makes you uncomfortable, or if you see something, say something, there's like 6 different people that you could report that to. So that's good to know, but also like they stated it to everyone. And there's also like a code of conduct on the wall. I feel like it's a safeguard for people training, and also, also people that own the gym that want to make sure that they have or is fostering. You can't promise a safe space, but you can promise a safer space, and like the commitment to making a safer space. So like if they have these guidelines, they have open communication, it doesn't mean that something is never going to happen, but there's ways to deal with it so it doesn't just get shoved under the rug and turn into like a more terrible, horrible thing later on.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, there's like, you can't necessarily promise anything, but you can at least, provide the space, provide an opportunity, for a safe space, and having the right people around it, I think, is the most important thing, because, that's, and we never know, when I used to coach kids, and I had to do a background check, and I had no problem with it because I used to be a preschool teacher. So I was like, well, yeah, I understand. You kind of probably should do that. And I was relieved to know, like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we're checking me out. Go ahead. I have nothing, nothing to hide here. So, that's kind of something I've been seeing lately too online, is people talk about, we should have background checks. And again, you have folks that are just kind of, upset about that. It's like, well, I mean, I don't know if that says anything about you as an individual because you're upset about background checks, but I don't know. I mean, if you're going to be coaching not just children, but just, I think, in general, because jiu-jitsu is a very, very up close and personal activity.
Oh, totally. Like the most.
Yeah. Like my wife, I actually was like, hey, you want to, come give it a try? And she was like, I don't want to be that close to anyone.
That's fair.
Like no. And she explained, there's like a discomfort period. And I was like, I understand completely. I'm not going to push it any further. If you want to work with me, we have mats here at home. We can work at home, whatever it may be. But, it's a very, very personal sport. So, but ultimately just keeping each other safe, I think, is the big key here. So.
Yeah, and like I was talking to a lot of my teammates about this, like I feel like it's pretty easy to differentiate between like an accidental, like weird thing that happens like one time, like we're like you are in the middle of a scramble and you accidentally like touch someone somewhere you weren't trying to, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, and like people are like, yeah, okay, it happens, versus like a calculated pattern behavior. And also, not to discount, it can also be a one-off. I don't want to be like, oh, do like a one-off thing. Like people can do like a one-off creepy thing, and that doesn't make that okay either. Because I've also heard people minimize some of these women's stories by saying like, oh, that happened like one time. I can't believe we're even talking about this. But if it was an egregious thing, like it does matter. It seems to be common sense to me. It seems like it's just coming back to like powerful, important people that weren't planning on getting caught and thought they were above getting caught. And I'm not trying to steer away from jiu-jitsu, but I am steering away from jiu-jitsu. It's like everything's crashing down in the Atos world. Now everything's crashing down in the checkmat world. Now here's all this crazy stuff going on in the Epstein world that we all kind of knew about, but it's all happening at the same time. It's like, if you wanted terrible information overload within a 4-day period, here it is. Here it is. I feel a little weird, like I'm competing this weekend and I'm going to positively brainwash myself to lock in for that. But after that, I don't know. I might need a little break. I feel like I'm waking up every day and I don't feel right. It's not just like what's going on in the jiu-jitsu world. Like I don't feel helpless, but I feel like extreme major things are happening in our community, BJJ, inside and out. And it feels weird to be grappling through the apocalypse kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. There's I mentioned on was it Monday? I think Sunday or Monday. I mentioned to a teammate. It was just like I'm exhausted. Like and I deal with social media quite a bit with just all the multiple accounts and like constantly posting and communicating through it. And I was like, I think it was Monday. I don't think I'd even gone on like, I did my post in the morning and I scheduled some posts for later so I wouldn't have to go back on. I was like, I just don't have the energy to go in here right now because there's a lot going on. And just even away from that, just your regular stuff as well. And then also just the rest of the world, just all the stuff like if my algorithm isn't hitting jiu-jitsu, it's hitting world news, and it's like, oh man, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go work out. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go train. I'm gonna come home. I'm going to shower. I'm going to watch cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, let me relax.
I definitely need some mindless YouTube at the end of an exhausting information dump day because I care very deeply about everything that's going on in the world, but I know if you commit to everything, you commit to nothing. So like I'm trying to figure out where I can like best commit some of my energies outside of jiu-jitsu because it is important to me to be involved in my community and give back to my community. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, and I turned 39 today. I'm like, dang, 39 years around the sun, times around the sun, which is awesome. Like, I don't feel super old yet, but I'm not super young. I'm not considered a quote unquote young voter anymore, whatever the fuck that means. But like, that was something because like for your birthday on Instagram, they're like, do a birthday fundraiser. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll do a birthday fundraiser. And I actually found this really cool nonprofit. And I have mixed feelings about nonprofits. Not all nonprofits do what they say they're doing, but it's called No More Victims, and they raise resources for survivors of sexual assault and abuse, and they like help them find temporary housing or permanent housing, safe shelter, and get mostly therapy and medical attention and like new clothing and stuff to like help with their transition out of those traumatic situations. And a lot of times I'll do a fundraiser for like a raptor rehabilitation or like a wolf, like I'm in Colorado Springs right now. We have like a wolf rehabilitation center I'm trying to devote more time to, but with everything that's going on, I was like, dang, I'm like, need to figure out how to be more helpful in a relevant way.
I think just an ideal of, wanting to be helpful, just having that heart, goes a long way. And there are times where it's overwhelming. It's like, well, I want to do something. I just don't know what to do. That's always a conversation in this house. I'd say to my wife, I'm like, I want to do something. I just don't know what to do. And then you kind of get into this paralysis, by analysis. It's like, but finding a fundraiser, for your birthday and, setting that up. Cause I believe I saw a fundraiser earlier today. It might have been yours. I think saw something. I was like, okay, let me go ahead and just like put a bookmark here, and then I got distracted because that's my brain just distractions. Okay. But I mean, the fact that you're aware of it and you want to help, I think goes a long way. That's huge in itself.
Yeah, and like kind of circling back to jiu-jitsu, and you were talking about trying to get your wife to do jiu-jitsu. I think before jiu-jitsu, I spent the majority of my adult life in servitude to like the community and like various different like activist causes and like what have you. And I still do that, but I do that a little less. And I have obviously like I am full-time professional grappler right now. I train twice a day, at least 5 days a week, usually once on the weekends, and I'm competing 1 to 2 times a month. And I'm not quite 40 yet, and I still compete most of the time in the adult division, so that feels good. But I do want to have kids here at some point. So me and my partner talked about this, so been kind of like going hard until we decide to do that in like a year or two. And honestly, jiu-jitsu has brought so much joy to my life and my world, and I always want to I try to get like every gal I know to at least consider it, because I feel like there is nothing like it. I have done other martial arts, and I think it's because we get so much like spar roll time. It's so addictive. And like they say, it reroutes your PTSD pathways, and I feel like that's pretty true. Anyway, I'm babbling. I'm trying to justify spending so much time doing jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I gotta justify this. It's good, right? So when we hear about these bad things happening in our community, I'm like, damn it, I have to do something, because this is like the one thing. Jiu-jitsu is the first thing in my adult life I ever did just for me, that wasn't in service to other people or something like that. And like I kind of felt guilty at first, like how much time I was devoting to it. And then I realized part of the addiction was, I'm like, wow, this is the first time I ever did anything as an adult just for me. And it's not, it ends up you're intertwined with all these other people's jiu-jitsu journeys, and you meet all these wonderful people, and you see how it helps so many people. And you're like, oh, something that I was doing just for me ended up not being just for me. So that's kind of beautiful. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I think in a weird way, though, we come into this community and, we come in for one reason or the other, but it is, for ourselves, but then it ends up a lot of times turning into an outward thing, whether it's being a good teammate and helping folks get ready for competition, or becoming a coach, becoming a mentor, things like that. So, you come in thinking, hey, I'm doing this for me. And then, you still end up helping out a whole lot. And even that in itself is still for you,
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it.
It's a reciprocal thing. I don't sound very eloquent right now. You know what I mean. But yeah.
Absolutely. And before jiu-jitsu, like before like training, like what did your routine look like the structure and routine of life for you? Like how did step into jiu-jitsu kind of change that for you?
Right. Okay, so I can talk about this now. I spent a good chunk of my youth sitting in trees. I sat in a lot of trees. I was concerned about them chopping down forests, so I spent a lot of time up in tree sits, and I have a lot of really weird rope rigging skills. I wrote a couple of books with friends on different knot and hitch systems. That's also like what's really cool about being like that kind of autistic and like on the spectrum that way, my ability to hyperfixate is real, and I can really fucking go places with that. I spent a lot of time doing that. And then, anyone that would look up my name, you'll find that stuff. Like I spent time at Standing Rock. That was the largest gathering of indigenous people in 500 years. And we were trying to stop the Dakota Access oil pipeline because they didn't want it through their ancestral territory. I spent a lot of time there. So I found myself living in South Dakota there for a while. And then, Atlanta. Oh, geez. They were trying to build the nation's largest police training facility that partnered with the Gilly program, which is run by the Israeli paramilitary. And pretty much nobody that was actually from Atlanta wanted it. So we spent a lot of time working to push back against that with one of the most amazing communities I've ever been a part of. I lived in Atlanta for 5 years. And we managed to stave it off for a couple of years, and we also lost a lot of friends, or what I would say comrades, to police brutality and violence in that time, and it wasn't really covered by national news. There's so much that national news doesn't cover. They don't want people to know both things. They don't want people to know some of the beautiful revolutionary things that are happening, and they don't want people to know some of the egregious, terrible things that they're part and parcel to. So as terms of what was my schedule like, I just feel I don't even know, not in a bad way, but my time wasn't my own. I would run and do things and lift and walk, but in a way that was utilitarian. I was pushing. I didn't have the kind of routine I have now. I would be lifting weights in the sense where I'd be lifting heavy things up a mountain to encampment that was trying to save a forest or something, and everything had to have a function. I'm very Aquarius, where I'm just if this doesn't have a utilitarian purpose, I'm like, it's not worth my time. And not for better or for worse, I got a little burnt out, and I got a little burnt out. 2020 happened, where everyone was kind of locking themselves in there for a while until George Floyd exploded in the North, the George Floyd riots, what have you. And I kind of had a lot of time to discover jiu-jitsu in that little window of time. Wow, I went off on like 9 tangents there. I'm just being honest. What was my schedule like? Who knows? And then the COVID hit, and I was actually able to. I mean, I did a couple of things during that time. Like, I also worked in healthcare during that time, and then I also was with other people in healthcare that did jiu-jitsu. So it was kind of like this perfect mix of like, okay, all I do is test people for COVID and their vitals, and then I go train jiu-jitsu. I was like, I don't know. Yeah. And I had people that loved and hated me. And some people were just like, wow, you're so selfish. You're exposing yourself to all these people with COVID. And I'm like, I work in the medical industry. I'm like, I thought that was a good thing. And then I was still training, but everyone I was training with was like consented to, like they knew what my job was. And I think a lot of them were doing similar things. I don't know. I was either around just jiu-jitsu people or just people in the medical field during that time. Such a strange. That was like 6 years ago. That's so crazy. Sorry, I just keep rambling. It's been time. It's been a blur here. It's been a blur. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird when you mentioned COVID. I was like, oh wow, that I guess that was 6 years ago. Sometimes it feels forever ago, and sometimes it feels like not that long ago. So I guess it's this weird adjustment, I guess, middle ground of it so far.
And I know, and I hear a lot of people were like, oh, like I barely trained during COVID, and mine was the opposite. I did so much training during COVID. It was wild.
I trained a little bit. At that time, I had access to the gym. So a teammate and I, we just go in and he just really started. He'd been doing martial arts and he's done jiu-jitsu, but I think at this point he was really committed to jiu-jitsu. So we just go over to the gym and just drill and then spar and just, utilize the time. I didn't realize we have 3 locations. I didn't realize at the other gyms, like, oh, there were like groups that were like organized and like doing so. It's like, oh, well, if I would have known, I would have just like, let's go there. Like,
yeah,
you can learn like real jiu-jitsu. Like, you're just learning from me, and I'm just a blue belt, kind of.
That's kind of cool though. But yeah, I mean, everyone just had to, find their consenting pod, pod of people at the time. And I found my pod, and we potted hard,
I think that was the key thing though too. Is like with my teammate and I, we both knew it's like we don't see other humans, so like, all right, I feel comfortable with you, you feel comfortable with me. And I remember a former teammate, he had moved to another gym. He had invited me over. It was like, yeah, I got mats in the basement. Folks come over all the time. And I was just like, I'm going to go ahead and take a pass on that, just because I don't know these other folks. And
yeah.
And he was of the mindset of like, nah, it's not real. Like, we're just gonna. It was like, whether it's real or not, I can't risk, bringing anything to make my family sick. Thanks, but no thanks. And then I want to say 2021, I actually finally got COVID. Like, I went out to like a football game, and they had these really, really weird rules, and I was like, okay, well, I think we're good. We might be safe. And I don't know if I got it at the game or if I had a friend come over to record. He said that he actually had been exposed. So it was one of the two things. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, it's fine. It probably wasn't you. I was out in public. I just probably that. And then, it was fine. Everybody in the house, we recovered quickly. But it was one of those weird things of like, okay, I don't want to go near the gym for a long time now because I don't know, like, if this lingers, if it can't, so just better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah. When it first happened, I did. Yeah, I'm trying to remember everything now. When it first happened, I did back off from jiu-jitsu for a little bit because I had so many indigenous Lakota comrades, and like they're super traumatized from like smallpox and shit for good reason, right? They're like, holy crap, the colonizer brought this like wild disease that's killing us all off. And then people are talking about COVID, and they're like, we're not trying to alarm people, but people are dropping dead. And we're like, what the fuck? So I remember when it first happened, we were pretty like, oh man, I wish I don't even know if I have pictures, but just to respect like the people I was spending a lot of time with, if we were like, picking straws, who's going to the store, and we were like wearing plastic gloves and like a plastic whole head face covering. We were maybe a little too into it. And then we realized after a while, either we had all been exposed at some point, or it was like shifting to a different variant. I don't know. It was just time went on, right? Things were changing. And I definitely believe COVID was real. I definitely believe, I'm not exactly sure how that all started. I don't think it was all totally normal. That's for sure.
Yeah, probably some shenanigans going on, but I think ultimately, unfortunately, lives were lost.
Yes.
But on the bigger spectrum of it, for the most part, we came together and figured out ways to keep ourselves safe and kind of reacclimated to life. So
yeah, and you kind of have to choose at some point. I have all kinds of critiques of what people did and didn't do in 2020. I totally get the initial benevolence of like people had, like whatever the little sign said, like on the, like hunkering down at home. Like, what are they, sheltering at home? What was the saying?
Shelter at home.
Something like that. But then there was also like, it's really, it's also a privilege to have such a place to go to. Like there were so many like houseless folks that had nowhere to go. I was a medic at a houseless encampment in South Dakota called Camp Niluzaha. That was like one of the best and craziest experiences I ever had. But like it gets so cold out there in the winter, like really intense negative temperatures. And they were so organized. It was amazing. We would pick up houseless people and bring them back to the encampment where we had these like big army tents that we would heat with like wood fire. We had a wood stove. And some people were like really critical of that. They're like, oh, you have all these houseless people in one big army tent. And I'm like, are you going to fucking let them into your house? And they're like, no. I'm like, all right, well, shut the fuck up. I'm like, where are we going to put these? They don't just deserve to die outside in the cold. Like, what the hell are people talking about? It was like January when the first like shelter in place shit came out. It was like winter, like serious winter.
That's what it's really weird about things. Where like people have this weird attitude about helping others. On paper, folks say they want to help or they will help, and then when it's time to put it to action, it's like, I didn't mean like that. Like, I mean,
like we did like food distribution where we'd get together and like the stuff that it wasn't bad, but like stores were throwing it away, and we'd like make food distro boxes, and like several of us would have to come together to do that and like bring it to the site. Even some people weren't like okay with that. They're like, that's too much contact. And I'm like, how do we get the people that don't have food stamps and don't have access to anything? How do we get them the food? It just didn't make any sense. It was like, at that point, I felt like just like really rich people, like I'm sheltering at home. I'm not. They're like, everything I do is contactless orders. And I'm like, who can even afford that? I'm like, what? I'm like, I can't afford. I'm like, half of us aren't even employed right now. What are you talking about? Anyway.
We ended up kind of lucking out because my wife is really good with money.
Oh, nice.
So she had so the fortunate thing is she's great with money. The unfortunate thing is everything fell apart in life at that moment. I think our AC, like as spring and summer's coming about, we get to June. She hasn't worked since I want to say maybe December. And my job was not money that you can live off of. as the joke goes in the house, yeah, your money, your salary pays Netflix and buys action figures. And I was like, fucking right. I love being a kid. But she, had everything set in place, and then our AC, like as it started to get warm, like, the air is on, but there's no air coming out. That's weird. And then the basement, we had a leak, and they thought they fixed the leak, and then instead of fixing the leak, the pipes burst and flooded the basement. So we're like, oh well, shit. There's two things.
That's pretty.
The transmission on the car blew up, and we're just like, and during this whole time, I was talking to Buddy, and I'm laughing about it. It's like, how are you laughing at this right now? I was like, I don't know, if I'm not laughing, I'm gonna probably cry. So let's make some jokes, dude, because the shit, you gotta admit, it's pretty fucking funny, right? But
that gets expensive.
Oh yeah. Well, we lucked out with the car because it was under warranty. A friend actually, he looked into that, and he was like, yeah, you're under warranty, fixed at zero cost. Insurance helped cover the pipes and the repair on the ceiling, and the air conditioning. We needed a can't remember what we needed, but it was $400, and a friend put it in. So we're like, okay, like we we're kind of safe in a lot of this. So good. But I mean, that's the thing. We were very fortunate. There are folks that were not fortunate. There are folks that did not have these opportunities. So, when you look at that, it's like, you have folks that are like, you saw some celebrities, not like, anything too crazy, but they make little comments like, we're fine. How do you avoid having problems with COVID? Be rich. And I was like, wow, that's fucked. Like,
yeah, I think, long story short, what I hope a lot of people learned during that time period, like I know I learned living in South Dakota, that so many people came together that had so much less than so many others, and were able to help so many people in their community. It was beautiful. Rapid City, South Dakota has the largest population of indigenous people per capita in a city in the US, and they had decreased, like, it was a combination of things, right? We had the houseless encampment, then we did like a community patrol, and then everyone was like pooling food together, and we were getting food donations from all these different places, and then we were COVID testing people for free, and then like houseless folks had a place to go. And because of like the patrols we were doing, and like how much community organizing there was happening outside of the government in that city, we reduced police brutality murders by like 80% or something wild, just by our presence. And when I say us, I was just one person of many. I think I was like one of the few non-Indigenous people that worked for Indian Collective at the time. I'm just saying it because, like, to me, in my head, that was like such a great example of like community coming together. That so many people that didn't have that much, like when we all came together, we had a lot. We had enough to help everyone. Nobody went without. And yeah, Indigenous folks, they know what to do, man. They got some answers. Some people are like, do they have all the answers? I'm like, maybe not, but they got some answers. Fuck, I don't know.
They got enough answers to make it through. So
they've seen some shit. They have a lot of like of their own community institutional knowledge from like time immemorial, So yeah, South Dakota. There we are.
As we're talking, I'm like, as you go from one story to the next, like you are like, like the commercials, like the most interesting man in the world, the Dos Equis guys, like Katie, you are like by far the most interesting person I've spoken to, and this is like 30 minutes in. I was like, sheesh. Like,
well, geez. Well, I was gonna say maybe I should say thank you, but I feel like I was talking to my partner Josh about that the other day. Obviously, I'm not trying to die tomorrow, but and I feel like there's plenty more to do, and we're living in such like an important, pivotal, and exciting time. There's so many things to do, that we are living here now for a reason. I believe that. But I also believe I've had a really full life. I believe I could die tomorrow and be like, okay, I didn't squander my life and I didn't not contribute anything. Like I said, I feel like the most selfish I've done with my time in my whole adult life is like the last couple of years where I've poured a lot more of my energy into jiu-jitsu, and not because I've given up. Like, I definitely still care about my community and I'm involved in stuff. I think I just saw not how bleak things were. I guess I need to be honest. I lost some friends I was very close to in the movement that were killed by police brutality, and it really fucked me up for a while. And I had to kind of take a step back, and I poured myself into jiu-jitsu and kind of grappled some of my trauma away. That's the honest truth of it. Like, because it's been mostly a consistent training since 2019, but there was, the times of close friends of mine were murdered by police where I was just like, wow, I don't even know what I'm doing with my life anymore. And then there was one, I got hit by a car on my bike and I physically couldn't train for a little while. So anyway, I just don't want people, I know things get dark and things get bleak, and like, I'm still wake up every day and I'm like, great, I'm so grateful to be here. And I think about these people that were killed by police. And I'm like, wow, I'm so lucky that wasn't me, and you get kind of like survivor's guilt. You're like, fuck, but I'm still here. I better do something valuable with my time. And I think that was hard for me in the jiu-jitsu community. I felt in Atlanta, I felt really held by the community. I felt supported. I didn't feel like an outsider for like having a candlelight vigil for a friend that was killed by police. But I felt like there was one place I didn't train for very long. I did not feel supported. They were like, what? They're like, I don't know. I was like a hooligan. They thought I was like a hooligan because I had like a friend that was like murdered by the cops. They're like, well, what did he do? And I'm like, huh? I'm like, how is that your first question? So anyway, so it just kind of shows you the whole spectrum of privilege within the BJJ community. There's people that like really get it and they're like, wow, that's terrible. And then there's like the flip side, like the rich privileged people that are like, how could you even know somebody like that? And I'm like, huh? I don't know. Like some people I feel like you train with and you're like you're in deep cover. You're like, I could never tell these people anything. We're just going to do omoplatas and that is that. And then there's some people that you're like friends with that you can like be like, hey, did you see the recent Epstein file drop? What the fuck?
Yeah, the jiu-jitsu community is such a bizarre collection of humans that when I try to explain to my friends who don't train, they look at me like, what? Like, it's
like some people you would never normally hang out with.
Yeah. Like, I think about the people that I see regularly. There are a handful that I think, oh, if we cross paths in other realms, like we're nerds, we like comic books, we like these different things. But then there are others that we don't have those similar interests, but we're still good friends. And it's like, and it's because of jiu-jitsu and even just in general conversations, like a lot of times we talk about stuff that isn't jiu-jitsu, and that's what I think makes it all unique, because yes, we come together to learn different escapes or different submissions or takedowns or guard pull techniques, and then we talk about anything away from that, and it's like, it's weird because I would not have ever cross paths with you if it weren't for this. Like that, I couldn't imagine anywhere where I would meet some of these folks like just at random. There's like maybe 3 of them I think like, oh, I might see at like a Comic-Con or something and become friends. But other than that, a lot of them, and that's the beauty of it though, is we have all these differences and we still end up kind of connecting.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity. I think it's a really cool opportunity where people on so many different spectrums of life, pun intended, or the spectrum, on both, on both over here. But I think it's a really cool opportunity for all of us different kinds of weirdos to have that commonality and come together. Like we could do, there's a lot of really cool potential there. And then there's also certain days where you like meet people and you're like, wow, what a fucking asshat. It's like so beautiful and so terrible at the same time. Like I've met some of the most amazing people through jiu-jitsu, and I've met some of the most cringe. And I mean, who cares if they hear that at this point? Like, example, Gordon Ryan. We all agree he's amazing at jiu-jitsu. Do I want to hang out with the man? No. Would I go to a seminar to learn something still? Probably, but like, probably don't want to talk about much else.
Yeah, like probably not invited to Thanksgiving, but if we're on the mat, I'm tuned in. I'm like, oh, like please tell me more. But the second we step off the mat, probably not. We probably wouldn't necessarily get along. I can't imagine. From what I've heard from a couple people, they're like, actually, he's pretty. Like he's like really awkward and sweet. And it's like, I don't get that from his online persona, but I mean,
I hope so. I hope so.
I was talking to my old coach recently about like, the community, the jiu-jitsu community, and I was like, because we were recounting an old story, and someone said something extremely, like, it was just a really odd comment. It wasn't a bad comment. It was just like a really weird like description of another person, and I was like, you have to understand, like a lot of us, we can communicate physically on these mats and tell a story with our movements, but a lot of us don't really do words very well. And he was like, what? And we were talking later on, and I was like, dude, I'm really awkward. I was like, you're not awkward. And he was like, well, maybe I'm awkward and you just don't seem awkward. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I personally live in awkward. I mean, that's, the joy of being an autistic Aquarius is like, it can be awkward, and I will do that for a while, or I won't know that it's awkward right away. I'm like, oh.
That's always the thing of it, is like you're doing it and you don't realize it's awkward because it's like this just seems like normal, like quote unquote normal. This seems right, and they're like, yeah, that was actually probably not okay. Like I make weird like comments and jokes around my family. And my happy space is anytime I can make my grandma laugh. If I can get a laugh out of my grandma, I've conquered the world. I don't need to do anything else. I can go to bed. If I can get grandma to laugh by noon, I will go to sleep for the rest of the day. I'm so happy. But there are also times where you take a swing for a joke and you miss, and when grandma doesn't laugh, it's like, oh, I've shamed the whole family now. But it's just part of the awkwardness, though, and they just accept it. They're like, oh, poor Jake, he just doesn't know.
Cool, your grandma's still alive. I was mostly raised by my dad's parents that were like pretty old. They were born in like 1960 and 1920, and I miss them so much. I miss them so much. Yeah.
Like my grandma, I believe what year are we in? 26? I believe
26.
She should be 96 on the 25th.
And she's still with it?
Oh yeah, she's sharp. She's active. Like my grandma has this energy that's just so cool that I'll call her. I call a couple times a week just to check in, and she'll say to me, "I'm tired, but we're gonna drive out to Delaware this Saturday." It's like, Grandma, that's like a 2.5 hour drive. What like, are you sure? Like, yeah, no, I'll be fine. I'm like, I'm fine. I can do it. Okay, so kind of steering back into our jiu-jitsu realm, I guess, a little bit here. Like so, you compete a lot.
I do, yeah.
Like, how do you, with like competing so much, how do you like personally define success? In these situations for you?
These are good questions. I am slowing down a little bit in 2026. Like I said, in 2025, I kind of just went nuts. I competed more in 1 year than I have in my entire jiu-jitsu career. I was competing at least twice a month, every month, if not more, some weekends. But yeah, how do we define success? Obviously, all of us, we all want to win, right? But with the same token, I've definitely had some matches. For example, oh, my dog's being goofy right now. Sorry. I've definitely had some matches that I've lost that I felt like really good about, where I was like, dang, that was like a sick back and forth, but I didn't win. A good example of a good back and forth I had that I didn't win was Atlanta ADCC last year. I made it to, I think I ended up, yeah, in the bronze medal match. She was so fun. This gal, what the hell was her name? Her last name was New, and she doesn't compete that much, but she trains a lot. She's been training for the better part of a decade, and we just had like some really fun no-gi judo back and forth. Like I went for an Uchimata ankle pick and like she reversed and like got a sick Haraya gauche, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Anyway, but you know what I mean? It's like when someone can, obviously we want to win, like I said, and I want to hit my cool shit, but when someone undeniably hits something cool on you in a match, I admire them. I'm like, damn, that was sick. I'm like, I fucking hate that they did that, but that was so cool. Another gal who's in the 145 bracket for main character we're doing this weekend, Raina Willink, is particularly good at legs. If you see this, Raina, she'll see it after. Oh, she'll see it after. It's okay. I'm not really trying to go to the leg party with her this weekend. I will feel successful if I can keep her on her feet or force her to her feet to engage with me in wrestling. So I guess, okay, this is what a long-winded Byronic answer I have here. Obviously, short answer, yes. Winning always feels good, but honestly, if I can hit a sequence that I've been working on, or if I feel like, because sometimes you lose by decision. I hate losing by decision. I'd rather we do double overtime, to be perfectly fucking honest. So, because like what they tell the refs is like, try to pick whoever had the most sub attempts, depending on the rule set. It depends on what the rule set is, but like who had the most sub attempts, who was in the dominant position the majority of the time. And sometimes if they can't decide, they tell them to pick a motherfucking random person. I hate that. If I don't get a submission, I don't feel like I won, even if I win by decision. Like I'm always like, a win is a win, right? Like I'm happy to win, even if it is by decision, but I don't, in my own mind and in my personal definition of what it means to quote unquote beat someone, means submitting them. So like if we don't get a submission in our match, I'm always low key kind of looking for a rematch, not like in a salty, crazy way, but like in a I want to run it back kind of way. Even if I won, I would take the rematch usually. And then there's some people. Oh man, there's only like, I don't want to, never mind. It's too exhausting to be fake. Right. So let's just not do that. All I can do is be me. I feel like I'm a pretty easy person to get along with. And as far as women's jiu-jitsu goes, and like, I do believe in the jiu-jitsu sisterhood, and I want to have, as many comrade women in the sport as possible, but there's a couple gals I just don't get along with. I'm sure everyone can take a guess as to who a couple of those are. And those are losses that haunt me, where I would love a rematch. And honestly, even if they are terrible people that say crazy things or terrible racist things, and I just want them to stop talking, if they submitted me, as far as the sport goes, there's not a whole lot you can say. And I hate that. Or like I can hate them in like real life, but like if they submitted me in jiu-jitsu, I'm like, there's nothing. If they submitted you, there's nothing to say. I can't stand it when it's okay to post the book of Genesis and these long-winded like, oh, this is what I'm going to do next time if you lost by decision. But if someone submitted you, I feel like you just got to quietly, not even quietly, you just got to take the L. You got submitted. Just shut up. For myself, I have to remind myself that I'm like, okay, this person submitted me. There's nothing to talk about. Hopefully we meet again and it goes the other way. But if it's a decision loss, then there's more to talk about, because there's a lot of different ways you can win a decision match. Sorry, that was so long-winded. Sorry, not sorry.
Hey, it's the answer. That's what it is. It's the answer. So,
and I just want to be honest. Like I would much rather be me and no, and like, I know I'm a good-hearted person and I know I mean well, but sometimes people do fucked up stuff and it's okay to not like them. And that is that.
I wanted to
Yes.
ask also to a little bit about your sobriety.
Oh, yeah.
So, 10 years for you, you just
Yeah.
celebrated. So,
Yes.
congratulations on that. Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. I grew up in
Uh,
Wisconsin, and honestly, I feel like a lot more, I can only speak for myself, but grew up in a big drinking culture here. Dude, people drinking at everything. We're drinking at funerals, we're drinking at baptisms, we're drinking at weird shit you shouldn't even be drinking at. And I didn't even know how much of a drinking culture I came from until I moved away from Wisconsin. Like we were, you know what I mean? Like we were taught it was like cordial to just bring like a six pack to like everything to people as a gift all the time. And people were finally just like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Do you not like the six pack gift?" I'm just being honest. Yeah, that's just, I feel like I was always very functional. I definitely drank a lot, but I was always so functional that people didn't even question it. I was getting good grades in school. I was like doing sports. I was just functionally functioning. What am I talking about? I don't know. But I also feel like there's probably a lot more people I grew up with, went to school with, that I don't really like talk to or hang out with as much now, that would also probably be considered having a drinking problem. And Wisconsin, that state has a problem. They're not bad people overall. I think we're good people, but I definitely think we drink too much, and the statistics will show that, sadly. Uh, yeah, anyway, I don't. So 10 years, I have not. Jiu-jitsu is a big part of that. Like I used to smoke cigarettes too. I can't even believe that. I like walked on, or I'm just being totally honest here. I had walked onto the college cross country team, and I would smoke cigarettes and like freaking get like third at races. I have no idea how I did that. No clue. Don't do that now. I look back, I'm pushing 40 now, and I'm like, what was I doing when I was 19 and 20? Stupid shit. Just being honest, so now you look at the youth now, you're like, what are the youth doing? And I'm like, what did I do when I was that age? I'm like, also did silly things. So I think, yeah, jujitsu helped me be totally sober, because honestly, if you want to compete, I remember that first competition I did, you want to compete, you want to be serious. It's not about judging other people like, oh, they're smoking or they're drinking. You just can't do it. I don't know how you would do it. I don't know how you could. I can't do it. I can't drink and smoke and like be a high level athlete. I can't do it. And that's not, no shade, no hate on other people. I just physically, I don't know how you would have the cardio and the wherewithal. I just don't think it's possible. And my addiction to jujitsu is greater than my addiction to wanting to drink a 36 pack of Hams, shitty Hams beer. Wow. Yeah.
well, I mean, I'm glad that you found jujitsu and that played a big role.
It did.
And
Yeah. And like, yeah. And moving away from Wisconsin, like I said, I love everyone so much. And honestly, there's also a big pushback against alcohol. Like I grew up between 3 different reservations, and like people really see alcohol as a colonial tool, because they did use it as a colonial tool, right? To like control people, manipulate people, steal their land, all that stuff. And there's a huge cultural revival where people are very much like pushing back against alcohol and substances. I'm not Indigenous. My sister is. And so I'm very tied to that community. Very tied to that community. But yeah, same thing. My sister has struggled with substance abuse. My brother has passed away. He struggled with substance abuse. His was more like heroin and meth and stuff like that. But yeah, also we live in, they say there's the deep south and the deep north. I'm from the deep north, and like, bless our hearts, we're good people, but also, it's winter the majority of the year. People get depressed, they get into things. That is the truth. That is the truth. And it's an epidemic all over the place, So especially, and I always want to tell other grapplers that if people are struggling with alcohol and like substance abuse, I'm interested in creating more, of a community where it's less taboo to like talk about that and support each other, because I haven't been to AA in a minute, and you really got to find the right meeting for you that doesn't feel terrible. Some of them are fucking weird, but I've been to some really amazing AA meetings where I'm just like, where was this my whole life? So it really teaches you about radical love and acceptance. You always think you have the worst story, and then someone comes in with something crazy, and then we hug. You know, who knows? They'll be. I'll never forget. You can't say who did what, but they'll be like, I came out of my. I can't even do it. They'll tell a story and be like, and then I came to, and the car was through the window, and I was standing over my husband with a 2x4. They're like, and that's that. I'm like, all right. and then we'll hug. I don't know. Maybe that's fucked up, but like a lot of people, I believe most people are good people, and not everyone does good things when they're not in their right mind. And I want to be careful about how I say that, because especially with all the Epstein shit going on, I don't really want to hear any of those people's excuses, but that's a totally different situation. That's not like regular ass people like drinking a 36 pack of beer. That's like billionaires with an exorbitant amount of money that can do whatever they want, owning an island and like buying people. They're not doing that. Anyway, sorry, big ramble, but I got really comfortable as the interview went on and just told y'all everything. But that's just, like I said, it's too exhausting to be fake. I have no desire. I got nothing to hide. Used to drink a lot, was functional, don't drink anymore, feels good. Know a lot of people that are sober now and are good people, but some people did some messed up stuff when they weren't sober, you know, even like some of my family members included. And I'm so glad to see some of my family members getting sober and turning away from all that. And like, it's so weird because you think about all these things that we're like trying to heal from and be better people from, and you're like, whatever you think you did was bad, then you like learn about all the most egregious things I've ever heard about in the last couple of days, and you're like, wow. Meanwhile, the people running the whole show are like the most satanic, craziest people that have ever existed. Anyway, yeah.
I think even in the comparison of that though too, it's like, sure, they might have drugs and alcohol, but they still went to the party first, you know.
Oh yeah,
they showed up to the dance and then had the drugs and alcohol, so no excuse. I mean,
you can't tell me they didn't know what the dance was about either.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
No. Before we wrap up here, I want to do a real quick rapid fire.
Oh, rapid fire. Okay, that sounds fun.
Real quick, I got 1, 2. It looks like I got five here. So
okay.
Real quick, I got you. First one: gi or no gi?
At this point, I'd have to say no gi. I do both, but no gi.
Okay. All right. Train alone or train with a room full of people?
Oh, I'm gonna have to say train with a room full of people, because like there's only so much you can do alone. And we're talking jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes.
Yeah, room full of people.
All right. Comp class or open mats?
Ooh. I don't know. That part of the Aquarius in me, I'm gonna go comp class. I like to be challenged, and like I do like when there's like a certain degree of openness where you can do what you want to do, but I do like to be pushed. I do like some structure, and like sometimes you need other comrades suffering in the structure with you to push you to the next level. I'm gonna go comp class.
All right. Win ugly or lose learning something important?
Win ugly or lose
learning something important.
Ooh, oh man, I wish I knew. I guess we're not allowed to know. I'm like, what does win ugly mean? Like winning the slap
like,
match.
Like a DQ, like winning in a way where it's like,
oh dang. Okay. I mean, from someone over here that's been DQ'd at IBJJF 3 different times, I would have to say by my own statistics, win ugly. I'm never trying to hurt my opponent. I'm just trying to win. But like, I didn't mean to either. They just should, long story short, they should just allow knee bars at purple belt at IBJJF. I don't know what they're doing. We're going to have to go win ugly. It's so bad. Win ugly.
And then the last one here, quiet discipline or loud motivation.
Ooh, dang. Can we not choose both? Because I feel like there's a lot that I mean, I do share a decent amount of things on the internet. There's a lot that I do alone. You have to be able to forge ahead alone, or you're never going to make it. But like, we also have to like motivate each other loudly. I don't know if you can pick both, but I would, because I definitely do both. I can't decide. I can't decide.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's usage in both. So that's how I always feels like, why can't I have both? So
yeah,
there we have it. So, Katie, this has been awesome, and I definitely want to have you back on because it just feels like there's a lot. There's so much more.
There's a lot, yeah. I'm a complicated individual. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I like who I am, but I am also a weird person. That's true. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, you're only weird to the people who don't get the human condition. Like we're people, and we're all unique. So I think that's awesome, and I'm glad that we got to sit down and chat because, like I said, like there's just so much going on. Where I'm like, oh my god, like I wish we had more time. So,
for sure.
Before we wrap up, do you have any shout outs or mentions that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Yes, I just wanted to re-mention, sorry, perfect time to have something in your eye. Perfect time. I wanted to re-mention that nonprofit, the No More Victims. I do have the link in my bio. They're a really great organization, like especially if we're coming full circle back to jiu-jitsu, they're raising money for a good cause for survivors of sexual abuse to find them shelter, school supplies, new clothing, and get therapy. I think that's worthwhile. I want to shout out Tabula Rasa, most family-oriented, supportive gym I've ever trained at. I'm very happy there right now. I feel very lucky to have the leadership that we do. So thanks, y'all, and thanks for loving my weird ass. Shout out. Dang, what am I doing? Give like a Grammy speech over here. What am I doing? Okay, don't be real though. Thank you, Alexa Hurst, for having the bravery to come forward. Look at all the people that you inspired to come forward. You are a hero. You are a hero right now. You are a hero right now. Don't let anyone tell you different. And I could keep shouting out people. I feel like those are the most relevant. And oh my gosh, I wish I knew her real name. Jeez. There is a lovely lawyer on the internet that I think her name is like Lesbian Moms Show You. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not reading it right. Maybe my autism. But she is archiving and collecting all the information that has been put out by all this like Epstein madness, and she's trying to do something with it where the populace can also get behind it and help see something happen. And especially just, I feel like how overwhelmed and helpless people have been feeling the last couple of days. I just want you to know that there is good people in the world out there doing things and trying to make something happen out of that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and thank you. And I believe it looks like it's a Lesbian Mom Shows You How.
Oh, okay, awesome. I was just like, that's a strange name.
No, when
and neurodivergent. We're gonna shout it. We're gonna re-shout out neurodivergent grappler. I know I've told you this before. If you're listening, you bring a much needed voice to jiu-jitsu. We need you. Thank you for all the content you put out. You're changing the vibe of the sport in a really much needed way.
That's a fact. Absolutely. And as always, to you all the listeners, thank you. If y'all have any questions, concerns, criticisms, please feel free to reach out. You can always find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast as well on Instagram. I want to give a big shout out to my crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio. If it weren't for Nerd Rage Radio, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So thank you to them. Bobby, Chris, Joe, Marilyn, Phil, Ricky, Tiki, Farrell, all those guys. There's a bunch. Thank you. Also want to shout out my other podcast, So You Like Horror. If you like scary movies, go check it out. We just put out the first February episode discussing the 1999 film The Haunting, and next, my wife, my daughter, and I, we're going to talk about the 1990s Nickelodeon show Are You Afraid of the Dark? So it's going to be a fun family adventure, and my daughter has a lot to say apparently. So stay tuned for that in a couple weeks. And then last but not least, I want to give a big shout out here to our guest today, Ms. Katie Beirut-Kloth. Yeah, got it again? Yes, got it. All right. And again, to you guys, the listeners, thank you so much. We do appreciate you, and we love you. You all know what it is. We're going to keep making these shows as long as you guys keep listening. I said that backwards, but hey, we got it. Y'all know what I mean. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Deeper with it. Now let me sing a song.